And by Congressman Greg Steube, Republican of Florida. House Judiciary Select Committee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, House Oversight and Ways and Means Committees, and Airborne Infantry Officer, U.S. Army retired JAG Corps officer. Welcome back, sir. Can we do anything to stop this nonsense?
Well, I wish we could. We don't control, obviously, the leftist propaganda court system, but this is 100% election interference. We're doing what we can as the Republicans in the House, doing oversight on all these different actions and moving forward with impeachment inquiries. That's exactly what we should be doing in the House, and looking to impeach Joe Biden and Mayorkas and all the different actions that are going on here. This is 100% political prosecution by a leftist propaganda, 100% politicized justice system.
Now, what I was getting at, Dick Morris has been on our air, and he says that actually stopping the appropriations for justice, the Justice Department, is something that could conceivably happen, and the House has the power to do it, to essentially threaten to defund the Justice Department if they go through with this. And it's obviously what you just call it, election interference. Is he onto something at all?
What's that?
Is he onto something at all? Is there any procedural way that could happen where you could actually say, hey, we're going to cut off a portion of your funding if you go ahead with these harassment prosecutions of Donald Trump?
Yes, that is 100% one of the powers that we have in the House. We have the power of the purse, and to use that to go after the FBI and the DOJ and this politicization, that's something absolutely that the House can do. Hopefully we could get to 218 votes on that. I know there was a congressman that had filed an issue on that, taking the funding away from Jack Smith and his prosecution. I would 100% support that. I think reauthorization of FISA should not happen. That gets reauthorized this year. Spying on the Trump campaign, spying on American citizens, those are absolutely actions that the House can take if we have bold leadership that's willing to take that on.
Now, Joe Biden should be in trouble right now. He's not. It's amazing who's facing indictment and who's not facing an indictment. But from what you're hearing, and as we take a look at Joe Biden, are Democrats kind of realizing that they have what looks like a corrupt politician on their hands? And I don't see, I don't see what they owe this guy at this point, why they're so invested in him. I mean, I'll give this to the Democrats. They got a lot of party discipline. Do you sense any frustration from them?
You know, that's one of the fascinating things up here in Washington is why is a guy like Merrick Garland going to put his life on the line to toe the line for Joe Biden, to be obstruction of justice from the administration of justice on clearly corruption crimes, bribery crimes, trying to slow things down for Hunter Biden? We now know, based on the IRS whistleblowers, that they slow-walked all those prosecutions so statute of limitations would toll and they couldn't charge those crimes. You have seen Merrick Garland and the like do everything that they can to protect the big guy, and you wonder at the end of the day, why are they willing to put their lives on the line, their reputations on the line, just to save Joe Biden's corruption? It's absolutely fascinating. You would think that some of the more moderate Democrats would start to push back on this based on the exorbitant amount of evidence. I mean, for the first time, you're actually seeing now the mainstream media actually starting to talk about some of the Hunter Biden probes and starting to talk about some of the facts, because you can't refuse the things that have been made public. And what's also interesting is the White House or the Biden administration has said nothing to dispute all of the facts that the Republicans and the House majority has brought forth to the American people.
Hey, something I'd like to point, you're on the subcommittee on weaponization of the federal government, and I think you've been looking into big tech as well. They say everything lives forever on the internet. Not so much. I noticed that embarrassing videos concerning Democrats seem to be disappearing from the internet. Now, one of them is Joe Biden at Strom Thurmond's funeral, giving the eulogy.
Strom Thurmond was also a brave man who, in the end, made his choice and moved to the good side.
So this speech has its ups and downs, in my opinion. And it used to be all over the place, and now it's hard to find. I think that there's something going on here, and it's not just him. Chuck Schumer, his outburst when he threatened Kavanaugh. These things are actually kind of becoming less and less prominent on the internet. Do you think that's deliberate?
Absolutely deliberate. That's the type of things that we've been investigating in the Weaponization Committee. You saw exactly what happened with the New York Post story on the Hunter Biden laptop, where Twitter, Facebook, and the like all tried to move that and not have that move around the internet. That's absolutely what's happening from Google, Facebook. Twitter used to do it. Obviously now with Elon Musk controlling it, it's a little bit different, but there is absolutely a censorship to the American people on what they are getting information from these big tech platforms. Those are the type of things that myself and Jim Jordan have been investigating in the House Weaponization Committee, and we'll bring that to light to the American people.
All right, Greg Steube, Congressman Greg Steube. Hey, I know you had a really tough fall off that ladder. You're in the hospital. It looks like a full recovery. How you doing?
We're back 100%. Thank you to the Lord and thank you to his healing power. We are back to 100%. Happy to be back in Washington fighting for the American people.
Keep it up. Thank you very much. Congressman Greg Steube, Republican of Florida. We appreciate it. To be continued, and we'll be right back.